The end of the year is time for presents and awards. And on today's show, I've got some awards for this Rangers squad.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan. It covered this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're giving out awards, not the traditional awards, but some superlative awards, some actual awards, some made up awards. Actually, you know what? They are all made up and made up by yours truly. Before we get into all of that, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Now, it's the end of the year, and I wanted to hand out some nice things to this Rangers squad. And although it was not a good year for the Texas Rangers. Not a whole lot of things went particularly right. That doesn't mean there weren't some nice things along the way. And I want to use these awards to recognize some of the things that did go well, because there were some occasional things that did go well. I could give out the Rangers actual awards, some pretty basic standard awards, but the Rangers edition of the Baseball Writers of America Association, they already announced their award winners. Wyatt Langford was the Rangers Player of the Year. Nathan Eovaldi and Jack Leiter and Jacob deGrom were the Rangers Co-Pitchers of the Year. Jack Leiter, the Rangers Rookie of the Year. Jen Sundberg Community Achievement Award, that went to Corey Seager. The Harold McKinney Good Guy Award goes to Jake Berger for the guy who is just nice to the beat writers. And the Richard Durrett Hardest Working Ranger Award goes to Jacob Blatz. Now, those awards are nice and well and good. Well, I think that Corey Seager probably was a little more deserving of the Rangers Player of the Year than Wyatt Langford. It's really a matter of opinion. Both of them were fantastic. So congratulations to all of those actual award winners that mean, I'm sure, something to them, but it is nothing compared to these awards I am about to dish out on this episode of Locked On Rangers. I want to start with a couple of individual moment awards, which are different than just absolute player awards. And I'm going to start with the Swing of the Year. And this one goes to, well, a different Rangers award winner, and that's Wyatt Langford. The Swing of the Year came very early on in this season. Actually, really, really early on, back on April 5th. This was against the Tampa Bay Rays in Arlington. Wyatt Langford, in a huge moment, hits one of the most impressive home runs I've seen in quite some time. It comes off of lefty Mason Montgomery with a runner on second base in a tied game in the 7th inning. The Rangers were tied 4-4 at that point, had blown a 2-run lead. Pitch number 1 by Mason Montgomery, the absolute fireballing left-handed reliever for those Rays, gets Wyatt Langford to swing through strike 1. Pitch number 2 is ball 2 below the zone, and then comes back with another 99.7 mile an hour fastball, registering as 100 miles an hour on the gun, which is exactly how fast that first pitch was. This one a little bit lower in the zone, and Wyatt Langford freaking tomahawks that thing for a home run, a clutch home run, his 3rd home run of the season, a 2-run homer, a game-winning homer for Wyatt Langford. That was, I think, by far and away the Swing of the Year. Now, there were some other swings that were really, really good this season, including Jock Peterson's game-tying homer against the Yankees. That one, that was absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful. But this swing was just flat out unbelievably good from a player who had an incredibly good season. And the last individual moment award I want to give to Jack Leiter for the Pitch of the Year. This was a pitch that occurred in a game that did not go the Texas Rangers way, but was still a truly fantastic moment. This was a 99-mile-an-hour pitch against the Arizona Diamondbacks in Arizona, in a game the Rangers lost 2-0. But this pitch against Ketel Marte, to strike him out swinging on 99 miles an hour above the zone, I mean, right after getting him on a called strike, a swinging strike, almost entirely fastballs in that at bat, and just getting a guy who had terrorized the Texas Rangers on a pitch like that, where Ketel Marte was just super late on that pitch. He looked awful swinging at that pitch. And outside of that first inning, which was a little rough for Jack Leiter, it was a truly exceptional start for Jack Leiter, and overall a really good season for Jack. And that's why Jack Leiter gets the Change Your Future award. Jack Leiter, more than any player in this entire franchise, changed his future with how he did this season. Starting from day one of spring training, and this man just showed up to camp and said, hey, by the way, I've got a sinker that I'm throwing now. I'm not messing around with that cutter. My changeup is now a kick change, which I learned from Matt Festa. And oh, by the way, I just added another couple of miles an hour of velocity on my fastball. I'm now just going to sit 97 miles an hour as opposed to sitting 97. I'm going to hit 100 a lot this season, and I'm going to be freaking awesome. And also, by the way, I'm going to do something that I never really did at all in my minor league career, which is command the strike zone just enough control of throwing strikes in the zone and getting away with it because he added that sinker, because he added that changeup. It completely changed his repertoire. The four-seam fastball has always been the money pitch for Jack Leiter, and by adding that sinker so hitters can't just sit on the four-seamer, by adding that velocity, easy velocity, it's not like he was just throwing harder. He added some easy velocity by working on his mechanics just a little bit more, adding that kick change that made both of those fastballs, the four-seamer and the sinker, just that much more effective. And at times having some really great moments with that curveball. Mostly still his best breaking ball is still that slider. But this was an incredible season for Jack Leiter. And more than anybody in this entire organization, this guy changed my mind about what his future can be and what his present already is. Jack Leiter, I thought, okay, maybe he had the ceiling of a number 2, but with what he's done this year, I mean, it's higher than that, but the floor is that of a number 4 in your rotation, which before I was like, maybe he's a pretty nasty reliever. Maybe he's a 7th inning reliever. I mean, that's where we were at the end of last year with Jack Leiter, because he had not made strides. And this year he made huge strides and completely changed not only his future, but I think also the future of the Texas Rangers organization. Now, the next award is the CPR award. This goes to Rowdy Tellez, the CPR award for giving life to this dead offense. Rowdy Tellez, the man who was brought on to hit home runs against right-handed pitchers and not do much else, did a lot of that. He did a lot of that for a Rangers offense where that when he showed up was just totally dead, devoid of life, devoid of power, devoid of any kind of swagger. And credit to Rowdy Tellez. The man had a very good year with the Texas Rangers. 50 games, a 772 OPS, 6 home runs in 127 plate appearances. That is a great season, a great short season for Rowdy Tellez, the man who comes in and hits dingers. He did that. He did his job. He wasn't asked to do much else, and he didn't need to do much else, but he gave this offense just a little bit more life than they had in many months. So he gets the CPR award. The next award goes to the Gold Glove in My Heart award. This goes to a guy who was nominated as a Gold Glove finalist, did not win the Gold Glove award this year, has won it in the past, but that is Adolis Garcia. And this man truly had an outstanding defensive season. He is no longer a member of the Texas Rangers. And this year, offensively, was not what the Rangers needed to be. But that does not take away from how fantastic this man was defensively. In 2023, this was an outstanding defensive right fielder. Actually, for most of his career, he has been an outstanding right fielder defensively. And this year, he took it to a whole nother level. Now, the athleticism hasn't quite been there since 2023. A knee injury really hampered him in 2024. The defense was straight up awful in 2024. He still had that cannon of an arm, but the reads were bad. The just bobbles and misplays and just plays where you'd think he's in his head. I mean, this year was not anything like that. Defensively, he was making fantastic reads on balls. He was leaping for balls. He was playing with swagger. He was gunning guys down left, right, and center. I guess technically just in right field because he wasn't playing left or center. But you know what I'm talking about. Adolis Garcia defensively, he is a Gold Glover in my heart. Alas, not according to those writers who vote for the actual Gold Glove awards. But that is still a superlative award that no one can take away from Adolis Garcia, even though he was taken away from this team. Coming up, we've got an award for Nathan Eovaldi and an award called the Thriller Music Video Award. Talk about what that is and why that person got it right after this. This show is brought to you by Gametime. In the midst of basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building. The crowd, the energy, the moments you can't get from watching from the crowd. The only problem? Getting seats used to be a hassle with long queues, logins, and price changing at checkout. That's why Gametime is such a clutch app for fans. It puts the advantage back in your hands, and it makes scoring great NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I pulled the Gametime app to check out some upcoming games, and they've got some great prices for Mavs versus Jazz. The zone deals are also clutch. You can choose a section, Gametime picks a seat, and you save even more. Seeing NBA tickets as low as $25 made it a no-brainer for last-minute game night. I mean, there were even some below $25 when I looked on the app. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Shout out to everybody for making Locked On Rangers your first every single day. On Monday's show, I will be back 3 episodes next week as well, and I'll be talking about why Wyatt Langford needs to be playing center field every single day next year, or at least all the days that he's playing. The next award on this list is the That Was New award, and that goes to Nathan freaking Eovaldi. Now, Nathan Eovaldi being good at baseball is not new. Nathan Eovaldi dominating in big games, that is not new. But what Nathan Eovaldi was doing with his curveball unlocked a new level of dominance for him. We've seen him had, month-long stretches, 2-month-long stretches where he is absolutely exceptional. But to put together this kind of a season that I really don't think the national writers recognized how incredible a season this was. The man had 22 starts. It's more like 21 because he got pulled from that start in the middle of this season with that tricep issue that cost him a bit of this year. But 22 starts, 130 innings, and a 1.73 ERA in basically 2/3 of a season is downright excellent, downright unbelievable. And a lot of it was because of the curveball. Now, Nathan Eovaldi has been basically a 4-pitch pitcher for a while. He's got the 4-seam fastball. He's got the splitter. Splitter is his money pitch. The cutter is also very, very good. And he's got the curveball as just kind of a fourth pitch to just change up speed. What makes Nathan Eovaldi so good is that he can throw all 4 of those pitches in any part of the zone to any type of hitter in any count in any inning ever. And you never know what kind of pitch he's going to throw. The sequencing is brilliant, and he is so good at throwing all those pitches exactly where he wants, exactly when he wants to set each other up so well. They all complement each other so well that it makes him so darn effective. And for the most part, the last couple of years, he has been a fastball splitter, and the cutter is kind of that third pitch. The curveball is just kind of a change of pace kind of a pitch. It hadn't been particularly effective at getting swings and misses, at getting weak contact. It just been kind of another look to throw hitters off. But this year, he found something new with that pitch. The break on it is better. The control of it seems to be a little bit better, and it's getting a lot better results this year. And for that reason, he took that leap from being really good pitcher, exceptional clutch pitcher, to just downright one of the best pitchers in the freaking sport. And that's why Nathan Eovaldi gets the That Was New award. The next award goes to the Mr. Little Rascal Ranger Award, and that goes to Michael Hellman. Now, there were quite a few Little Rascal Rangers in this season. It could have gone to one of any number of guys. Maybe it could have gone to Dustin Harris, who I believe signed a deal with the Chicago White Sox. Happy trails to Dustin Harris. It could have gone to Billy McKinney, the guy who showed up for 6 games, had some moments there. It could have maybe gone to Alejandro Ozuna for having some moments, but I really think that or Cody Freeman is really a toss-up between Cody Freeman and Michael Hellman, but just Michael Hellman had a little bit more of an impact. A couple of huge moments, including that grand slam, including 5 home runs in his 38 games as a member of these Texas Rangers. Some exceptional plays defensively. A guy that came out of nowhere to have an impact on the postseason race. Now, it didn't end up getting the Rangers in the postseason, but he kept this team alive a whole lot longer than I thought they'd be alive after the insane amount of injuries that they had in the back half of August, losing Corey Seager, losing Marcus Semien, losing Evan Carter. And these little rascals like Cody Freeman, like Michael Hellman, like Dustin Harris, they just stepped up and said, all right, we got next. We will carry this team. We will go ahead and sweep the freaking Milwaukee Brewers, who had the best record in baseball this year and had not been swept since the early parts of the season, because they had irrational confidence in themselves. And I love that about them. Michael Hellman, I think he's going to get a spot on this opening day roster. And he was a huge part of the Rangers not dying that much earlier, a lot later than I thought they would last year. And that is a big part because of Michael Hellman. The Where Did That Come From award. This goes to Jacob Latz, because where the heck did that season come from? Jacob Latz was outstanding last year, but this guy has not been a particularly impactful arm for the Texas Rangers in quite some time. He made his big league debut back in 2021 as a 25-year-old. He pitched in 3 games in 2023. Did Paul a 0 ERA, gets himself a World Series rings. I don't think that he pitched in the postseason at all. No, he did not even make the postseason roster in 2023, but I think he still gets himself a ring. Last year in 2024, he was fine, had a couple of games that he finished off at a 3.7 ERA, didn't start any games though, and you thought his time as he started would probably be done in this league with the one start that he had to make his debut back 4 years ago at this point. But this year, he was downright excellent. He was excellent as a starter. He was really darn good out of the bullpen, and he is going to be, barring some kind of signing, one of the Rangers' opening day starters. And that is freaking awesome. He is going to be in this rotation on day one, probably as the number 5 starter, but this came out of nowhere, and this was fantastic. This is legitimately real stuff, and Jacob Latz is going to be under contract for quite some time, and having a homegrown starter that just kind of materializes out of nowhere is a huge win for the development of this organization. The next award is the Thriller Music Video Award. This goes to Jacob deGrom, because like in the Thriller music video, somebody comes back from the dead, and it was Jacob deGrom. A lot of people wrote Jacob deGrom off as done, dead, not going to pitch in the major leagues, not going to be an impact arm, not going to be good if he does, stay healthy in the major leagues. And not only did he stay healthy in the major leagues, he was painting masterpieces. I mean, just spinning some real artwork. And that's why it's also the Thriller Music Video Award, because not only did Jacob deGrom come back from the grave, he didn't do any of the Thriller zombie dance moves, but he also is just excellent. And that is also what the Thriller music video is. Universally acclaimed as exceptional and stands the test of time. Jacob deGrom has stood the test of time. This was an unbelievable season for a guy who was 37 this year, who had not pitched really a full season since 2020. It has been that long. And he came into the season and said, hey, I'm going to make 30 starts and I'm going to be awesome. And all the doubters are going to feel really stupid at the end of the year. And we all said, okay, I'm kind of one of the doubters, or at least maybe most of us said, okay, I'll believe it when I see it. That'd be sick, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. And that is exactly what he did. He came out there every 5th day, missed 1 start all season long, and he was awesome. And for that reason, Jacob deGrom, you get the Thriller Music Video Award. The next guy on this list is the Garbage Time Goodness Award. This comes to Dylan Moore. Now, he wasn't quite a member of these little rascal Rangers. Dylan Moore is not a guy who had spent, ages and ages and ages in the minor leagues and then came up and just had a miraculous run out of nowhere. He was also a little bit late to that little rascal Ranger party. He played in 18 games this year, and for the most part, he was really darn good. 2 home runs in that span, 30 plate appearances, a 781 OPS, playing some excellent defense, had a couple of stolen bases out there, had 6 RBIs, so an RBI every 3rd game. And he was mostly pretty good for this Ranger squad, but it was just a little bit too little, too late, but it was still good, and it still deserves some acknowledgement. So for that reason, Dylan Moore, you get to take home the Garbage Time Goodness Award. The Fire Starter Award. This goes to a guy who lit a bit of a fire under this Texas Rangers squad after his exit, and that was, of course, Kevin Pillar. He retired at the midpoint of this season, signed ahead of this year. There's so many feel-good stories about, Kevin Pillar's here, going to fill a nice role. He's going to play the outfield. He's going to mentor some of these young outfielders. He's going to hit left-handed pitching very well because he did that very well last year. He moved to Texas. He moved to Argyle. He's got a farm. He's got some alpacas. That's so fun. He's going to be a part of this team and make an impact. And that just really didn't happen. He dealt with injuries, and he just was not good. And then he went on a podcast and said, yeah, this Ranger squad is not very close. They don't have a whole lot of close relationships. It was just not the kind of fun vibe that I was looking for. Rangers got upset. They went off on a very long winning streak at right after that, even though they were looking completely dead in the water. And so, Kevin Pillar, you get the Fire Starter Award for lighting just a little bit of fire under this Rangers offense when they very badly needed it. Although it would have been nice to see him do that as a member of the Texas Rangers squad, not just on a podcast after he left. Coming up, we've got the Found Money Award. We got the Rubber Arm Award and a very special award for Jock Peterson. What is that award? You'll have to listen to find out. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. But that's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Let's look at some of these odds right now for the NBA awards. Right now, the Defensive Player of the Year favorite is Chet Holmgren of the Oklahoma City Thunder at plus 125. Victor Wembanyama right there in second place at plus 380. Cooper Flagg, the favorite for NBA Rookie of the Year, at minus 185. Look all the way down there, see if there are any other Mavs on these awards list. And nope, there are not any right now. But the Finals MVP betting favorites right now, Luka Doncic, the fourth favorite, Jalen Brunson, the third favorite at plus 1,700, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the favorite at plus 100. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Now we've got just a couple more awards to sling out before the end of this season. Before the end of, I guess, this episode. The season is already over, but the episode is not quite yet over. And I want to give out this award, the Found Money Award. And this goes to Cole Winn. This is another huge developmental win for the Texas Rangers. Now, offensively, this Texas Rangers squad has not done a great job of developing hitters, but developing pitchers, they have made some big strides these last couple of years. But last year, specifically, Cole Winn was a guy who I had completely written off any possibility of him having an impact future in the big leagues. I was so excited that he made his big league debut in 2024. He was a Rangers top prospect. He was a former first-round pick. He was a guy who I was really, really excited about. I watched him make several starts in Frisco back, I believe that was 2021, 2022-ish. It had been quite a long time since we had seen Cole Winn in Frisco, but he had some huge moments there. And then he came back, went to Round Rock and just kind of forgot how to throw strikes, was getting hammered when he was throwing strikes because the only strikes he could throw were right over the middle and usually being hit over the fence. So he was either walking guys or giving up home runs or not really a true outcome guy because he wasn't getting a whole lot of strikeouts. And so I thought, okay, well, that seems to be the end of that. I don't know if Cole Winn is ever going to make the big leagues, and that was a darn shame. And then the next year he came back and he was still kind of ineffective. And then in 2024, he looked a lot better, made the big leagues, and I thought, okay, that's a nice moment for him. I'm not counting on that happening in 2025. Even when he had a 0 ERA in AAA, I thought, okay, that's nice. He's doing it without striking out AAA hitters. If he can't strike out big league hitters and he's still going to walk a whole bunch of guys, I don't think he can find effectiveness in a big league pen. And I was wrong because for the most part, he did find that effective. He found a way to strike out big league hitters, 7.5 strikeouts per 9. Not great, but not terrible. It was fine. And he was incredible at limiting hard contact, limiting runs as well. A 1.51 ERA. He is 25 years old. He throws in the mid-90s. He's got some pretty decent stuff, and he knows how to pitch, and he has found his way back from the wilderness of the yips to be an effective big league reliever, a cost-controlled, homegrown, effective big league reliever, something the Rangers have not developed a whole lot of, and that is hugely found money. And also, I am just genuinely so happy for Cole Winn, a good dude, finding his way after looking completely lost and so many people writing him off, to be able to come back from that and be an impact big leaguer, even if it was just for last year. I don't think it's going to be just for last year. I think this guy is going to be a solid back end reliever. Maybe not the Rangers closer, maybe not their 8th inning guy, but a decent leverage option for this Rangers squad. I am just so genuinely happy for him. And him coming out of the wilderness is basically found money, hence the Found Money Award. The Rubber Arm Award, this goes to, I'm giving it to 2 different Rangers relievers. I'm giving it to a lefty and to a righty. To the lefty, I'm giving it to Hobie Milner, of course, the guy who pitched so many innings for this Rangers squad, pitching in 73 games. That was the most of any Texas Rangers pitcher. He threw 70 and a third innings, and because he threw so much, he was a lot less effective in the back half of the year, really the last month and a half of the year. And for right-handed relievers, somehow Shawn Armstrong, he didn't pitch in as many games as Hobie Milner. He pitched in 71 versus Hobie's 73, but he pitched in more innings, 74 innings for Shawn Armstrong last year, and he was fantastic. A sub 1.5 ERA in the second half of last year, a team high tying 9 saves along with Robert Garcia, who also had 71 plate appearances as a reliever last year. Both those guys were mostly fantastic. Really would have liked Shawn Armstrong back. Really frustrated the Rangers decided $5.5 million was too much for a reliever, especially one of Shawn Armstrong's caliber. Feels like a mistake for the Rangers, but what they did, signing him to a 1-year deal for, I believe, $1.25 million last year, was a hugely great sign for this Rangers squad. And maybe some of the signings that they had in this offseason will be maybe not quite as effective as Shawn Armstrong or Hobie Milner, but at least somewhat of an approximation. The next award, it's a little bit of a dig, but also genuinely award worthy. It's the You Broke an 0 for 42 award. That goes to Jock Peterson because he was 0 for 42 and he came out of it. And that deserves an award. Moving on, the Thank You for Your Service award. This goes to a man who was brought in to mop up some innings, to get some ugly starts, to save the Rangers for having to dive into their AAA roster and throw out some guys in some major league starts that were just not quite ready for it. A guy who was asked to just fill some innings right when the Rangers got to a desperate part of their spring training schedule because Cody Bradford and John Gray, within the span of a week, both hit the IL. One of them would not pitch for the entirety of the season, and John Gray did pitch this season, but not particularly effectively. The Rangers said, Patrick Corbin, hey, please come be a part of this rotation. And so the Thank You for Your Service award goes to Patrick Corbin because this guy fell on that sword. He said, all right, Captain, throw me out there every 5th day. I'm good to go. I'm good for it. I will give you a chance to win pretty much every single time out there. And you know what? He did. And he was effective. The second most innings for any Texas Rangers pitcher this year was a guy who they signed, 2 weeks, maybe a week before the regular season started. 155 innings for a guy who was basically plucked off of the scrap heap. He could have had a few more starts. He could have had, I think, one more start at the end of the season. Could have had 31 starts. Alas, he finishes with just 30 and 31 appearances, a 4.5 ERA, or 4.4 if you want to get particular. And that was fine. That was good. That was actually downright very good at times for Patrick Corbin, someone who I did not expect very much out of, and a guy who really filled his role exactly as the Rangers asked. That was valuable. That was necessary. The Rangers might honestly re-sign him just to give themselves a little bit of padding in this rotation because some of the guys they have at the top are a little on the older side and are a little on the less durable than you might want side. So maybe Patrick Corbin comes back and he can get the Thank You for Your Service round 2 award. He can go for back-to-back Thank You for Your Service award winnings. But for this year, he gets to take home that award. Now, the next award, the next to last award, is the Mr. Random Ranger Award. Now, every year, whenever Grant Schiller and I will do a podcast episode, we'd stop doing it for a little while, but usually at the end of our episode, we will finish it with a random Ranger. We will go on to Baseball Reference. We will remember the most random Ranger that we can possibly remember. We will describe it to the others. The more random, the better. And these are Rangers who you want to make the other think. We are both two, obviously, diehard, obsessed baseball fans who watch basically every single second of the Texas Rangers. And so if there's a guy on the roster we don't remember being on there, if we can scoop the other one and say, yeah, do you remember this guy was a member of the Texas Rangers? And the other one says no, that is a massive, massive win. And so your random Ranger for the 2025 Rangers, your Mr. Random Ranger, that award has to go to Nick Ahmed. He played 5 games for the Rangers this season. He had some incredible defensive plays, and he went 0 for 9 with a walk and 3 strikeouts and some truly abysmal offensive play. Only 5 games for Nick Ahmed, all of them coming, I believe, in the month of May. A couple of those games, at least one of them happening in San Francisco, maybe even 2 of those games happening in San Francisco. I honestly, going through this baseball reference page, he was one of the ones that I mostly forgot. Donovan Solano, I vaguely remember at the very end of this season. He got 2 games, 3 plate appearances, maybe a little bit of a better random Ranger because he went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts in the only 3 plate appearances he got this season. But I feel like Nick Ahmed, because it happened at the middle of the season, you look back and think, oh, I forgot that guy was there. Leody Taveras, kind of also forgot about him being as a member of the Texas Rangers. 30 games this year, but obviously more likely to forget Nick Ahmed as a member of the Texas Rangers than Leody Taveras. And the last award, this is the most prestigious award. I don't think the Rangers Baseball Writers of America Association gave out this particular award, but I think they should have. It is the Reliever of the Year award. There were a lot of good relievers in this Rangers pen, a lot of guys who had some great moments. Robert Garcia had some great moments, but also had some not so great moments as a closer. Jacob Latz had some great moments in the Rangers pen. Phil Maton had some good moments. Luis Carvalho had a couple of moments. Danny Coulomb had a couple of moments. But of course, the Rangers Reliever of the Year award has to go to a guy who did not allow a single earned run. And of course, you know exactly where I'm going with this. It's Ezekiel Duran. 1 hit in 3 1/3 scoreless innings in 4 games for Zeke Duran. Even if Zeke Duran didn't have the best offensive year, he was still a shutdown reliever, not a single earned run allowed. And for that reason, Zeke Duran, congratulations for your Texas Rangers Reliever of the Year award. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.